VR sucks. No, it doesn't. It's the greatest thing since Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. They just got divorced, you idiot. No, they didn't. They're the best thing ever. They're the sexiest couple ever. It's Brangelina. Ugh. Hi everyone, I'm Jolly Julian, and I'm hoping that today we can have a little bit of a discussion about my jolliness and try to determine whether my jolliness might be at all toxic to the VR industry. I saw a video recently, and I've heard other people talking about what's called toxic positivity in virtual reality. And I wanted to kind of do my own video here to kind of bring my thoughts into this discussion and hopefully continue this discussion with each of you. So a few days back, I saw a recent video from Mr. VR Voice, who put a video out there talking about how toxic positivity might be really damaging the virtual reality community and the developers and just VR and XR as a whole.
Felt for a long time now that there is a major cognitive dissonance going on with how VR experiences are being portrayed by content creators versus what they actually turn out to be in play.
I put a link to that video in my description here, and I do recommend that you check it out. First of all, I want to be very clear here. I think Dr. VR Voice had some very interesting things to say, and I agree with some of what he said. And I want to talk about both the things I agreed with and some of the things that maybe I disagreed with a little bit here.
No! No!
No!
No!
No!
Obviously, my name is Jolly Julian. It's in the name, so you're probably going to get some jolliness today, but let's virtual our reality. Okay, was that introduction too positive? Was it toxically positive? I hope it wasn't. Again, we should all continue to be who we are in virtual reality, and I'm going to continue that as well. But I hope that you notice that when I find something in virtual reality that I disagree with or that I think could be better, I will bring that up as well. I don't think I'm needlessly jolly. I'm jolly because, first and foremost, I love virtual reality. This is not a fake thing that I'm putting on. This is not a persona. This is who I genuinely am. I'm in virtual reality each and every day. And I love 99% of what I'm doing in there, even when it's not perfect. So in Mr. VR Voice's video, he talked about how it seems like an awful lot of specifically content creators out there are just being so overwhelmingly and bombastically positive about experiences in VR that are far from perfect, and that could be damaging the community as a whole. I think he brought up some very interesting points there, and I agree with some of that positivity strictly for positive sake and entertainment value is not necessarily constructive. However, from my experience at least, which is the only experience I can give, the reason that most of what I talk about in my videos and in my programs is positive toward VR is because so much of what I experience in virtual reality is so overwhelmingly positive to me. I think that part of the reason that people are so positive oftentimes in VR is because this is a contextual thing. It's different for every person. But virtual reality is such a unique experience in the degree to which it immerses us into the experience that we're having in a way that just can't be done any other way in today's technology, that in many ways, it's going to envelop us far more than other experiences that we've had in entertainment, like movies or flat screen video games or console gaming and things like that. We feel like we're in it, and that's getting us invested in a much more major way. Now, I know that Mr. VR Voice and the rest of you probably already inherently know that you're sold on virtual reality. But oftentimes, it's hard for us not to gush about the experience that we're having, because I myself would much rather have a mediocre experience in virtual reality than a phenomenal gaming experience on a flat screen. Now, not everyone's going to feel that way, and I acknowledge that. Some people would much rather have that second thing, that great experience on a flat screen with this incredibly long, lengthy, in-depth game where all of the mechanics are just perfectly executed and all that. Of course, I would love that in VR as well. That would be the perfect storm. But until we get that, and even when I don't get that, some of the most interesting experiences I've had were far from perfect, far from completely fleshed out, but they got to me on a more visceral level than anything that I've ever experienced on a flat screen game. Again, I want to be super clear here that I'm talking about my experience here. Your experience may be different, and that's wonderful. And I want you to comment in this video. Let me know if you agree or disagree with anything I'm saying. And if you agree or disagree with anything that Mr. VR Voice said if you got to watch his video. That's what we should be having here, is a discussion. And that's why I love what Mr. VR Voice put out there, because that's his viewpoint on what's happening right now. And there are a lot of things in there that I agree with, as well as some things that I maybe personally disagree with just a little bit. I want to be super clear here that I'm talking primarily, much like I think Mr. VR Voice was, about content creators here. I agree that in marketing, things get way out of hand as far as hype. But that's the marketing department's job. If their job is to market this VR experience, of course, they're just going to focus on all the positives. They're going to hype it up. They're going to make it sound like the best thing since Brangelina. You know what I mean? That's their job. And I hope that each of us as content consumers, as VR experience consumers, that we can weed that stuff out and understand that, that's marketing right there. And the same thing with any content creators who might have sponsorships or who might be a little biased because they're getting paid. Again, I think those are few and far between, right? But for today, we're primarily, I think, talking about content creators who just go on and they just gush about the experience and they never point out any of the negatives.
Is this boring to you?
No, I like it.
Yeah, well, I love it. Everything that's good that's happened to me in my life came because of that.
And I agree to a degree with Mr. VR Voice when he talks about how a lot of times content creators are just throwing out there all of these gushing things that have no specificity to them. And that's one of the things I think we need more of, is being very specific in our critiques of what we're experiencing, or even just the experience we're having itself. I've been guilty of this, I'm sure, myself. And a lot of you are probably watching this going, "Jolly Julian, this is exactly what you do." And if so, I'll try to be a little bit better and make sure that I'm not just gushing and saying, "Wow, this is amazing. Holy cow, this is the most incredible thing ever. Oh my gosh, this just looks wonderful." All of those things are very generic and not helpful. We need more specificity in the things that we're talking about. What is it that's so wonderful? What are you feeling in this moment? I think that's one of the things as content creators we can talk about even more. Some of them out there do wonderful jobs with this. Beardo Benjo does a great job with that. Paradise DK. There's an endless supply of people out there that are very, very good at expressing not just what they're experiencing, but how they're feeling about it as they're doing it. But I think that's one of the things we all should work on. What are you feeling in this moment? Why are you feeling it? What are the details, the specificity? And that might also lead us to some of the things that are maybe a little bit negative about what we're experiencing, and we should bring those up as well.
Make it stop!
And I think we can all agree, most content creators, if their goal was to get as many views and clicks as possible, sadly, we're in a world where negativity tends to get more attention and more clicks and more views on YouTube and in other social media and content consuming areas. So if we really wanted to get those clicks, we'd all be on there just saying VR is dead, right? That's why we see so many of those things as like VR is dead. Because that negativity gets people who love VR to click, people who hate VR to click, people who think it's the best thing, the worst thing, right? So I don't think content creators are being overly positive because they think that's what's going to get the most clicks or the most views. I think most of the time it's probably genuinely how they're feeling. With that small exception of people who are just out there yelling and screaming about how incredible everything is. I hope Jolly Julian is not one of those people. I really don't. I'm jolly, but I'm also genuine, and I'm also able to look at the other side. There are no wrong answers there. I just think what Mr. VR Voice is saying, and what I do agree with, is that we should be pointing out both sides to the best of our ability. But I'm saying that sometimes it becomes really hard to do that when, again, a mediocre virtual reality experience is just more meaningful and feeling to me than a phenomenal flat screen experience. And that experience is going to vary depending on the person. In the end, I think we should all be able to express whatever it is that we're feeling in virtual reality. And I know Mr. VR Voices is an advocate for that as well. Courteous discourse is always a positive thing. And I hope that's what we're doing here. I hope that's going to start in the comments. I hope that you will comment here and let me know how you feel about this, positive or negative. I hope that Mr. VR Voice feels good with me doing this video and challenging a little bit of what he said, but also agreeing with what he said. I would love to have a little bit of a discourse here in that way too, because when we talk about the things we love and the things that could be better, it raises the bar for what virtual reality is and what it can be. So if you're a content creator and you want to comment below, let me know how that experience is for you and how you agree or disagree. But if you're just a casual viewer or a wonderful VR user, let me know how you feel as well. And please do take a moment to subscribe and like this video and hit the bell icon. Those things make a massive difference. If you liked anything that was said in this video, or even if you didn't like it and you feel more people should see it and pile on me about how wrong I am, those things like subscribing, liking, hitting the bell icon make a massive difference, and it doesn't cost you anything other than a couple of seconds to touch something on your mobile device or hit click on your mouse. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate any comments that you put below. I will be responding to each of those comments down there as well, and I will catch you on the next video, and I'll try not to be as jolly. No, I'm going to be as jolly. I'm going to be as jolly. I'm a jolly guy when it comes to virtual reality because I love it so much. I love it. I love it so much. Bye.